Uh, Good afternoon.
I guess your voice is pretty loud. Can you
And
all
I
hear
usually
that?
don't speak in the microphone because I'm pretty loud. That's because I have quite a few people to speak to on a daily basis. I work in a high-volume court in Shelby County. In getting prepared, I asked our clerk, our General Sessions Court clerk, how many cases are you approximating we will handle this year? And he told me 400,000. And I was like, oh, that's impossible. I did not believe it. And he sent the hard numbers over, and he was right. When I stepped back to start to think about what we do, we have 15 divisions of General Sessions Court. In our county, Shelby County, which is Memphis, is the large metropolitan area that has 650,000 citizens. Our dockets average, out of the 9 divisions that handle exclusively criminal court jurisdiction, with good docket management, you can have 135, 150 cases a day. And that's with good docket management. We have, out of those 9 divisions, we have 3 designated courts: domestic violence, drug courts, and an environmental court. They handle those matters exclusively. We have 4 specialty courts, which are mental health court, which is starting in January. We have a gun court that does lateral prosecution with federal court. We have a veterans court, which started about a year and a half ago, and I run the compulsory attendance docket that prosecutes parents that do not send their children to school. That's, yes, that is an experience. But it's a serious one. That is a serious one because it is found, studies have shown that between the hours, I think, of 12:30 and 4 o'clock, that is a high crime area for juveniles. So let's put them in school. And parents just don't send their kids to school starting at first grade. As part of an initiative, I took on the task of doing that. Along with just a regular docket of misdemeanors, we have 20 felony preliminary hearings a day scheduled in the courts. We are now restructuring our courts about how we handle those hearings. We also have regular trials, we have regular motions, we have 8 judicial commissioners. We run a 24-hour shift with them, with the judicial commissioners. And you say, well, there are other big cities with big dockets. But in the throes of all of this, our Chief Justice in Tennessee, the Supreme Court Chief Justice Sharon Lee, termed the General Sessions Courts as a gateway court, meaning that this is the first introduction most people will have with the criminal justice system. So it's very important for us to deter them. And I mean, I don't want them to come back. I don't need any extra numbers. But also for them to take the message out to the public that you don't want to be down at 201 Poplar. When I came from law school, I went to law school in Iowa, although I was a Memphian. I practiced civil law prior to coming to the public defender's office, and I was in shock. I didn't realize it, but I was quite sheltered. And I quickly learned, and that gets back to the notion of implicit biases, that we cannot be so robotic in what we do in the court system. Because if you are very robotic and start processing people and take the humanistic aspect out of what you do, those prejudices that you are not even conscious of will flow right through. So how do you handle 150 people, 200 people a day? I stop and I talk to them. You might not get more than 5 minutes, but I will make an inquiry about what's the status of your driver's license, which is the biggest financial fundraising aspect for the state of Tennessee. Revoked driver's licenses. Where are you? How much do you owe? What have you done? Have you ever had a license? Well, no one knows their license is suspended. I'm scared to check mine. And
We already did.
but the real issue is that you have to be humanistic or not be so robotic and not just process people. If you're speeding through what you do for a living, the justice system, then you can't take a step back and really measure the good that you're doing, the effect it may have on persons. and those underlying things that's really subconscious or unconscious that you're doing that evolved into implicit bias. It may be now that in the back of my mind, I think nobody has a driver's license. Nobody's ever going to get their license. Oh, you really have to take a step back. And it also does two things. It makes you be just. It gives a sense of fairness, which is an individual concept for each person coming before you. And it also allows a message to be sent out that you don't want to be down there. She's going to be firm, but she's going to be fair. But you don't want to be down there. And as I always say, I will send you to jail with a smile. It'll be the most pleasant short trip you'll take from in front of me to the chair right there before you go to lockup. So you really have to take a step back and not be so robotic. And I enjoyed the conversations we had this morning in discussing about the panel because it also taught me something that we just did in Shelby County. We just had a big judges meeting. Normally we meet on paper, passing memos and coming to some agreements. But it also gave us the opportunity to evaluate what we do in our individual divisions of court, how we're moving the dockets, how we can better serve the public and the citizenry, not just the defendants, but the victims that are there, how we are processing people still, but still we need to take a step back and recognize the need for problem-solving courts, like the Veterans Court, the Mental Health Court, specialty courts, those problem-solving courts, the designated courts, because just like in every community, we have drugs, we have strange love, domestic violence, and it is a funny kind of love.
That's awesome. I had never heard that.
We have gun issues. There's not very few black men or African American men, and now in this day and age, men of all and women don't carry guns. So we need a gun court. Everybody carries guns. Some people can carry them under their jacket, in their pocket, or strapped on their belt and walk in, or walk with the shotgun. So we need these kind of problem-solving courts and special courts. But as we develop, because they address societal situations, we also have to address ourselves as jurists and as practitioners, not taking things for granted and being thoughtful about what you're doing in the practice of law.